Okay, part two. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited to be on here for this topic today. So I'm just gonna let you guys come in, drop in the comments where you're coming from, and we're just gonna get into me debunking these credit myths that are out there. So let me know where you're coming in from, let me know how you're doing, and then I'll say hi in the comments. And I'm excited about this topic because there's a lot of myths out there about credit, and it's kind of crazy. So I'm just gonna kind of do a part one to this. So I'm gonna make a part two here soon because there's so many myths out there, and I think it's a lot of information out there that we, are getting informed about, but there's no real basis to it. So you don't want to take these myths and then run with them the rest of your life. You definitely want to be informed and know what, how your credit is calculated, and all of these things that you need to know about your credit versus what the world is saying about your credit, right? So and how it works. So I'm going to get into this topic. If as you're coming in, let me know, like I said, where you're coming from so I can say hi. Hey mama, I see you. But let me know where you're coming in from, and then if you guys have questions about this, or even let me know what myths you have heard in the comments, because I would like to address that maybe in the next video. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. Feel free to share if you get value from this. And then if obviously you have any questions about the everything that I'm going over, feel free to message me too, because I do not mind answering your questions. Thank you so much, Mario. Good to see you. So the first one we're going to go over, okay? The first myth is checking your credit score will actually lower your score, right? So that's a myth that's out there. People are scared to look at their credit. They'll come to me and be like, Chelsea, hi Letty. They'll be like, Chelsea, I'm really scared to pull my report with you right now. I don't want to hurt my score. And I'm like, no. It's okay to check your score. So there is a number of consumer sites that you can use to monitor your credit, check your credit, see what all is actually really going on when it comes to your credit, right? The only time that checking your credit is going to affect you or impact the score is going to be obviously when you're applying for loans, when you're applying for a mortgage, when the loan officer pulls the report. There's so many things when pulling your score in that nature, when a lender is pulling it, that yes, it will affect you. When you are applying for an auto loan and they go and apply for like 7 different banks, that will impact the score, okay? So there is like that. There is things like that that would affect your score when checking your credit. But when you're checking your credit with, let's say a lot of us use Credit Karma or Identity IQ, these consumer sites, once again, that is not going to hurt your credit by checking your score in that way. Okay, guys? So that's the first myth. We're going to go to part two. Second myth that people are like, what? So the more debt you have, the lower your score will be. That's the next myth, right? So a lot of people are like, oh man, I owe so much right now. Whether it's to my mortgage or these loans that I took out, and now my score is going to be super low. But that's not the case. So just remember I said this, not all debt is equal, okay guys? Not all debt is equal. So there is good debt and then there's bad debt. And so good debt obviously is a mortgage. So let's say you have like a $300,000 mortgage loan, that's considered good debt because that's a good investment, right? So if a lender was to pull your report and saw, oh, this person has a mortgage, she's paying very well on it, that is good debt. Now bad debt is when we are looking at, you have like a $10,000, balance on a credit card and it's maxed out. Now that's bad debt, right? And obviously that would impact your score as far as your credit utilization, because that's 30% of your score. So that would lower the score. So there's kind of to differentiate that for you guys. Even getting an auto loan, that's considered good debt too, as long as obviously you're paying on time with it, you're making good payment history. That is not going to affect you getting approved for something, right? Because that's still going to be considered good debt. or secured loans, things like that. But anytime you have credit card debt, obviously like negative stuff like charge-off accounts, things like that, yes, that will affect your score. So I hope that addresses that second credit myth. I'm going to go over the third one. So this is one that I have probably went over with you guys. A lot of people don't understand this part, so I'm going to address this again because I know a lot of people are just like, they had no idea about this. But paying off collections will raise your credit score, right? How many of us have heard that before? If you've heard that, let me know, because I know so many of us were told like, oh yeah, if you just pay off your collections, you know, your score is going to go up, right? And so no, that's not necessarily true. So what happens with a collection on your report, right? And let's say you have debt on that collection. Anytime, and let's say that collection is like a few years old, 3-4 years old, you go to pay that collection, what ends up happening if you do not get a paid for deletion letter, which is very difficult to do. So if you have to make sure before you pay anything and they agree to do a paid for deletion that you get that letter in writing like right away, right? If they do agree to that, that is so awesome. But here's the thing, sometimes they'll say, yeah, Chelsea, you know, we will take your payment and we'll delete it, and then I don't get a letter. Well, guess what? What they're gonna do is go and update the date of last activity on that collection. Let's say it was 3-4 years ago. And now it looks, when it gets updated, now it looks as if it's 2020, I got a brand new collection on my credit report, right? So that is a huge misconception that I think so many people are not aware of. So before paying off collections, before going through that whole process, make sure that you guys are speaking with someone that knows more about credit than you do, so that you understand that when you go to pay debt, that you are doing it as efficient as possible, that you are going to be able to maximize your scores, not hurt your score, because that's the whole point of, you know, getting out of debt is to improve your credit score, right? So just be super aware of that. And so once again, paying off your collections is not going to guarantee your scores going up, guys, okay? Just a reminder, there's a date of last activity on there, that 7-year mark that kicks in. And so obviously once you're getting closer to the statute of limitations of an account falling off, the last thing you want to go in and do is go and pay off all this old debt. I hope that makes sense. So if you have questions about that, let me know, because I know a lot of people are like, what? I don't understand that, because I've gotten asked that quite a bit. So just let me know. But we're going to go to the next credit myth that so many people talk about. So here's one that I think is kind of funny, right? So it's like, if you are wealthy, right? Or if you have a great job and you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, so the myth is a better job means that you will have a better score. So in theory, if we think about this, I mean, if you're having a good job, you're getting paid very well, obviously you're going to be in a position to pay everything on time and all of these things, right? But people think that because they're in a certain position or a status within their company, that automatically that's going to come into how their score is calculated. And then, you know, they're going to have this like 700, 800 credit score. That's not necessarily true when it comes to this, because your job does not get, whether you work at, you know, a low-income job or whether you're like a CEO of a company, that is not going to come into effect when it comes with calculating your score, right? Obviously, you're going to be financially in a different position, but I've personally had clients who are entrepreneurs, businessmen, businesswomen who own their own business. You know, obviously when you're chasing after your dream and you're, you know, taking risks, sometimes as dreamers we can get into a little bit of debt sometimes, but that's okay. And then now you're in a position to clean up your credit, right? And everyone obviously wants to have good credit, whether you are super wealthy or whether you are, you know, middle class, whatever you want to call that. You know what I mean? You want to have that great credit, because no one really wants to come out of pocket and pay thousands of dollars for down payments. It saves you so much money long term. There's so many things that you could do with great credit, and the wealthy know That's why they're wealthy, because they save so much, because they do take their credit very seriously. So I hope that addresses that one. And then I'm gonna close with this last myth, and then I will make a part 2 to this because there's so many out there. But this last one I think is funny. So people think that one late payment will not hurt your score at all, right? So it's really sad to say this, but that is not true. So let's say that you have perfect credit right now, right? You've had perfect payment history, your credit card balances are low, and then all of a sudden you get a one late payment on one of your accounts. And as soon as that late payment hits your credit report, your score will drop significantly, okay? So the higher that your score is, the farther you will fall. And it's insane how they do this, but it's crazy. I just had a client reach out to me not too long ago. They had got a late back in January, had not checked their credit, was not aware, had perfect credit. And because they got one late payment on their auto loan, a 30-day late, their score went from a 750 down to like, I think like a 620, right? It's crazy. So your score, when any new late payment could cost you anywhere from like 60 to 80 to maybe even 100 points, you could see that score drop. So it's really important to stay on top of your stuff. I mean, keeping everything on auto draft is always what I recommend, so that you can avoid having to deal with that. And obviously keeping on top of your credit, monitoring your credit. What's going on? How can I get ahead of this, right? So thankfully for that client, we were able to do like a forgiveness letter, and thank God the bank was like, you know, it's fine, because they've had that account open for so long and made perfect payment history. So if you guys ever get in a situation like that where you miss that one payment, do whatever you can to try to reach out to your lender to see if they will do some kind of forgiveness for you guys, because that will really, really, really hurt your score, guys. So I hope that this kind of addressed a few of the myths that are out there, maybe a few myths that you've heard. Like I said, feel free to comment myths that you've heard, so that maybe I could address it in the next video. But I'm going to do a part 2 to this to kind of dig into more of the myths that are out there, so that you kind of are able to know for yourself what's true, what's not true, you know, and so that you can have great credit and not be misinformed about it. Okay, guys? So I hope this helped. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to share this video. And other than that, I will see you guys so soon. I miss everybody. Hope everyone is staying super safe. And that is it for today. So love you guys. Talk to you soon.